All right, so I'm going to start from the beginning. We're talking about the power of stories and data. Um, what is data? Data is the information we collect from what's happening on our website, what's happening on our Google Ads, what's happening on our Facebook post, Instagram post, TikTok post, and how people are interacting with those posts. Now, why do we want to use it for storytelling? Well, because sometimes it actually makes better sense for us to show evidence and results to our customers and say, this is what happened in our business, this is what's happening in our industry, and this is why you need to make this purchase or buy this products or this service. So since the dawn of time, since the days of Neanderthals, we have had moments where we sit together and we tell stories. Now, these stories could be a combination of everything and anything uh, that we tell to help, whether grow our business, to soothe a child, to remember a family member, or with our faith, we tell stories. Now, stories usually have emotions built into them. However, when it comes to data, data doesn't have any emotions built into it. Data is all about credibility, facts, raw information. So, what we want to do is we want to be able to take that raw information and build it into a story that we can use to persuade our end user to want to work with us. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to define what data do we want to use for the storytelling. There is a narrative that you want to tell your customer. So let's use an example. So the example is I want to tell a customer that, as an example, 50% of people that buy this product and use this product have shown signs of becoming healthier. I have to prove that 50% and it has to make sense. Now, am I going to prove this 50% based on analytics that I have gathered on my website, or is this based on what's happening in the industry? So we need to identify where we're getting this information and how is that narrative actually helping our end user, or is it going to come across as something that we're using to help ourselves? So we have to also figure out which narrative we're going to be pointing at. And then we have to come up with a visualization that shows this claim. 50% of people that use this product have shown signs of becoming healthier. So how are we going to visualize that? And if we're using a particular claim of such, what example are we going to be showing it? Do we want to talk about, well, 50% of people that use this product, um, let's say 50% of people that use Cellcore products tend to show healthier signs. Why? Well, because the Cellcore products are plant-based. They are made from natural products rather than synthetic products. It's good for your body to have, let's say, for example, one of the ingredients that's in there, let's say it's raw honey. Whatever that example is, we want to identify it and break it down and then use analytics that we have. Now, this analytics can, as I said, come from a third party, or it can come from your website. And you have to show where it has come from as well. Uh, Numbers are what we always use to prove a point, to spot a trend, to show patterns, to show anomalies. So when we want to use numbers, we have to figure out what combination of these numbers actually do make sense for our business, and how are we going to showcase it and remove all the extra noise and filter it all out. So for example, if I'm showing a trend, let's say I'm showing a trend in how many people have switched from plastic bottles to metal bottles. This trend has to have numbers attached to it. So I have to go back and look at how far I want to go back. So I want to go back and look at the next 10 past, sorry, the past 5 years. 500 people stopped using plastic bottles and they've switched over to metal bottles. So then I want to showcase, well, did I do it gradually, or did I do it over did I do it over years and gradually, or was it like a big spike? And those numbers make a difference with how we show it. in some cases, it's actually a better idea to show percentages rather than numbers because numbers can be skewed, numbers can be questioned. So we have to make sure that if we're presenting anything in a story to our end users, that it makes absolute sense. How do we filter out noise? Well, noise is usually the extra information. So if I'm saying 1,535 people have stopped using bottles of water, plastic bottles, and now 5,332 have switched over. What I'm doing is I'm keeping that customer attached to that number, and I'm not giving them an opportunity to read why I'm talking about this. Whereas if I would say 20% of users, approximately 1,200, I'm finalizing that conversation right there because I have a point to take. The point is to move this person to the next step. The next step is, okay, now that 20% is now 50% of people, but the reason they're not doing it because I want to sell this bottle, right? I want to sell the metal bottle. The reason they're not using plastic is because metal is more durable, it's less chemicals in it, and it lasts longer. There's less waste. So that's the conversation piece. So when you reduce the amount of noise that is in your numbers, it moves this individual further into where the questions, where the rest of the conversation is. The narrative that you create for this audience based on your numbers has to have a proper structure, has to have a shape to it. And this is why it's important to always write down prior to creating your story what it is that you want to sell. What is it that you want to say? And how do you want to use your analytics and your numbers to create that narrative for your audience? Once you figure out how you're talking to people, you want to figure out if this particular audience is ready for the information I'm providing them, or do I have to change the way I present my data depending on the audience that I have. So understanding your audience is very important. Also, you want to make sure that if you're putting a chart in front of someone's face and you're asking them to read it, that this chart is actually readable and understandable to you before you go on and pass it on to the next one. Let me explain that a little bit better. Many times we come across charts or graphs that's been put together by very intelligent human beings. And it's very important to provide the right information in those charts. But that doesn't mean that me as an average person can understand that chart easily. So you need to make sure that you are showing me something that I can understand and tailor it to my level of understanding and my level of interest in this chart. If you're randomly presenting information to me and I have zero interest in that, even though I'm on your website and I'm ready to buy from you, or I'm on your social media and I'm trying to understand what it is that you provide. If you don't put in the right information in front of me, I may or may not want to be, if I'm not interested in it, I may or may not purchase it from you. But if you put a chart, let's say, how many people have bought this particular product, and showcase how many of them are men, how many of them are women, how many of them are children, what's the age group of the people that are buying this product, I might be interested because I might look at it as, oh, I can resonate with the information that is provided to me. Oh, I'm one of those people. I am between this particular age group that they're suggesting. I am of, 20, the 20% of people that are buying this. And that will make it easier for me to make that purchase. Also, when you collect data and you use that story to tell yourself what's happening with your website, what's happening with your, sales reports, what's happening with your social media presence through data, it actually has a much better impact on your decision making and your next strategy that you want to use for your business. Visualization is the key for anybody out there. And I mean anybody who purchases products, services, or wants to become a customer of anywhere in particular, visualizing what's happening and how this business is growing and why they should be part of this, percentage of people that are buying this particular product does make a huge difference. Choose the right chart. choose and all of these charts are actually available on multiple tool sets that are out there. For example, Canva, or if you want to even go as easy as going to Looker Studios and look at Looker Studios that's offered by Google, and create it based on the information you guys currently have. Uh, Looker Studio provides beautiful charts, great pie charts, great graphs, very colorful, depending on if you want to put colors in it. And it's easy to be able to see, okay, well, how many people, how much am I selling? What's my overall expansion, depending on the city or country I'm going to. And you want to create these uh, charts based on engagement and clarity. So what that means is that you want to make sure that the information you're providing is going to be engaging to the individual that's going to be watching it, or that's going to be looking at it. Does it matter to them that you have traffic coming in from India? Does it matter to them if there's traffic coming from Philippines or Toronto or US? And if it is important to them, how am I going to make this visually appealing? Do I want to put maybe a map of the world and highlights the areas that we're getting the most amount of traffic? These charts are also really good if you are trying to grow your business or get corporate partners or go to the bank to get loans, because the individual that you're presenting this information to can understand your business and what you're trying to accomplish better. So here are some of the pitfalls of how not to create graphs and charts to tell your stories via data. Try to avoid misleading visuals. So if you're trying to, so as you can see in this image that I have, um, there's a lot of information put in, and there's a lot of data that's provided. Now, not everyone's going to be interested in the amount of data you're providing. So you have to be able to cherry pick and reduce the overload of the information that you're providing to the individual and make sure that visually it's appealing to them, and provide trustworthy information. If you're saying to me that 20% of people that use your products are healthier, prove that to me. Make sure that there is enough evidence that I can go back and say, you know what, I trust the information these guys are providing. And always add in any sort of a link that to where you've got that information and that data from, and double check that source to make sure that it provides good information. And you also want to make sure that if you're okay with providing data from your own website, that you provide link to that analytics so they can see it outside of the chart that you're providing. So if you, and I'm hoping most of you do have Google Analytics. If you do have Google Analytics, one of the things that matters the most to your audience is engagement and responses. So engagement usually means what they've done with your social media, with your website, with data that's out there, and how long did they engage with that content? Did they spend a minute and a half reading your website? Was that enough to read your website? Sometimes it takes someone close to 15 minutes to read an entire website. But that's not realistic. Usually the average engagement is anywhere between 1 minute to 5 minutes. So you want to make sure that that matches on your analytics. You also have to remember that when you're looking at analytics, you're not getting you could get real-time information, but sometimes it takes up to 14 hours for that information to propagate and for you to be able to look at accurate information. All right, so why does it matter to build a culture around data storytelling? Well, data storytelling is what we use to entice others to want to work with us based on facts and figures. That's what it is. Now, does everybody in your audience care? No. But depending on what you sell and the services you provide, there's probably going to be a big group of people that care. If you're in the education world, or if you're in any sort of a technical world, or in my case, in the marketing world, people care. People want to see number. And if they do want to see number, they care, you know, where the number's coming from, the transparency behind that number, the trustworthiness of that number, how it's presented, and if it's proper calculation on it. So you want to make sure if you're that you're building, if that's the service that you providing, whether you're in a education world or in the marketing world or tech world or IT world, build a culture around this data storytelling. Because more you tell stories based on facts and figures and numbers, more people are going to trust you. Integrate that into your daily. I got to let one more person in. Integrate that into your daily communication, whether you're posting on social media, whether you're posting on any sort of like a platform. Make sure that you put in your the data charts that you've created. And you also want to encourage cross-team collaboration for richer narrative with your other partners. So I have a lot of marketing partners. So sometimes when I need to find out, what are the sorry, I have to ask this person too. There we go. I collaborate with other marketing agencies, and there's oftentimes where I ask them, for data that I can share and give them credit from their expertise in their area of subject expertise. So when I work with, beverage marketing, and they're in the brand marketing world, and they have really good data about what's happening in that world, I can share that and on my daily communication on LinkedIn, and then tell the world that beverage marketing is the one that provided this information. I know that was a lot, but if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let me open the chat so we can see if anybody is asking anything on the chat. Hold on. There we go. Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to post this on our website, digitalmarketingexperts.ca. I'm putting it in a chat for anybody who wants to, and it's under the webinars and resources. So feel free. Oh, I love this question. So you draw data from other sources? Yes, absolutely. So a majority of data that I collect, it's not necessarily from our neck of the woods. It could be from other marketing agencies. It could be from marketing insights and research companies, and that's perfectly fine. Absolutely. And so when I look at data, I'm just digressing a little bit, but when I look at data, I look at what can I do with this data, and who actually cares about this information, and how can I present it in that group for them to understand it better. Now, sometimes my analytics provides me with really good data because I have a lot of, different webinars, and I host a lot of events where, I present information, and I can see what people are interested in. So I can then use that data as well, if that explained it better. Amazing. All right. Well, I heard about third-party data. What are they? So third-party data is usually information that you collect from, not, so when I said I collect information from, sometimes from beverage marketing for me is a third-party data. Now, there's other bigger companies out there that provide much bigger information and data to you. But you have to be very, very careful with who you collect in this information from. Sometimes it's not accurate. Sometimes it's based on a small group of individuals, not as big as what they make it sound like. Or sometimes it's based on a really big group of people, and you need it to be very niched and to a particular group that you're interested in. And you're welcome. There's nothing wrong with grabbing third-party data. Now, there's some really good sites out there that provides good third-party data. There's nothing wrong with, contacting a corporate partner and asking, what's happening in their world, if they can show you a couple of the, charts that they're working on, and let them know that you are going to share this information, as a collaboration. There's nothing wrong with that. It actually helps grow that partnership between the two. Now, with the third party data, I'm very skeptical with where this information is coming from, especially because we live in a world that not everybody wants to share that information. So you got to be very, very careful and do your due diligence. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I will have this added into our social. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Elaine. Um, Thank you, Tanya. Message me if you have any questions. My email address is, I'm going to put it in here as well. Here. It's info@digitalmarketingexperts.ca. I'm always open to talk. And if you have, at no cost, there's no cost involved in it. Just message me. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Bye, everyone.